Welcome back to Mega Man Zero. Last time, we freed a bunch of Resistance members, and today, we're gonna be saving more Resistance members actually, but you know, in a different place, through a different method. So, it's gonna be a pretty straightforward mission. We need to find this Colbor and his units. So, you might remember that for a time, part of the subway was blocked off by a guy just being like, hey, sorry for relying on you, Zero. We don't want to do that so much, even though you're super tough. That last part didn't actually happen, but yeah, somebody was blocking us from going a direction, but said, hey, don't worry too much longer. And then he winked at us, and we were like, well, why'd that happen? That also didn't happen, but anyway, yeah, there was a guy blocking the road. Now he won't, because that was actually in the way of this area that's near the subway. So you can start by going out to the area where the train was before, and that will also take you to this big broken up railway. I guess after the train failed, they probably just blew up the tracks to prevent us from getting to Neo Arcadia through a direct route? I don't know. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, can't say for sure. Either way though, yeah, this is our next stage, and since this is such a straightforward mission, though with a very big bottomless pit that's constantly below you at all times, I wanted to mention the soundtrack for this game, or more specifically, the remastered tracks. So yeah, if you've been going to the end slate, you've probably heard already, but this game does have remastered songs, which are okay. Sometimes I actually kind of prefer the instrumentation and just style of the Game Boy Advance games, but the remastered tracks are good. It's just, you know, you get used to it in one way, and you know, I don't think that the GBA sound chip is all that bad, and it can make good things. Sometimes people made bad things with it, but that's true of everything. But anyway, yeah, most of the soundtracks in the Zero series have a subtitle. This game is the exception. It is just called the Remastered Tracks Rock Band Zero album. And I did want to mention it because, again, remastered tracks can be pretty good. Definitely worth a listen. A whole lot of dead people. So yeah, we came just in time to save Colbor himself, and that's it. Rest of the unit's dead. By this guy's hand. Alright, so we're being introduced to this fancy lad, who I'm gonna try to pronounce his name correctly. It's Harpuia, but I always pronounced it Hypera. I guess my child brain just liked that more. Like, it's supposed to be a play on Harpy, but like, I always just think of that bit from Homestar Runner. Did that man just call me Harpuia and invite me inside that bush? With his weakness, he's one of the easiest bosses in the game. Without it, he's still pretty easy. He's very patterned. It's just harder to knock him out of this whole thing into a convenient position. In fact, him being only halfway through the screen is a little annoying, but regardless. I'll mention his EX track when we get to it, but the other reason I wanted to bring up the soundtrack for this game is the fact that it actually has drama tracks. Oh, here's his EX attack. So yeah, ARS rank he does this. When he has that aura, he's completely invincible, making this incredibly annoying. He's just gonna try to use that tornado to push you into the electric barriers. Pretty much it's just a game of you have to dash just enough so that you bypass the tornado without running into the barrier on the other side. He will also use this attack many, many times, and that's the other reason that you want to use his weakness on him, which, since he's using electric, it's ice. But yeah, you won't see his X attack nearly as much with his weakness. Anyway though, yeah, so, remastered tracks. They have drama tracks, which is basically just, you know, it is acted out bits and pieces from this game. With actual voice actors doing like full lines and not just going hup hup ha ha or stuff like that. So yeah, for the most part, I don't think that it's like a required listening. So far, you can listen to 2 of them without spoiling anything. All of them are labeled as CL's Memory, so you've got CL's Memory Prologue and Rebirth from Zero. Though after this episode, you also have The Big Four, which is, I think, the one drama track I would definitely recommend out of all of them. The first few are about Zero's awakening, which is okay. They add a bit about Zero speaking in CL's head about like, hey, don't wake me up, I bring sorrow, which, I don't really think is needed, but, I mean, it's a drama track, so it's gotta do something, right? But then you also have the Big Four, which is an introduction to Harpuya and some other characters that don't really have a formal introduction. There's no big cutscene with them. We're just introduced to Hypera after he's slaughtered a bunch of people. So, you know, he's really tough. But yeah, you can meet him and his groupies. I would suggest listening to the Big Four, you know, right about now. I think this is good timing for it. I was initially considering maybe subtitling the drama tracks, but those are already on YouTube, and probably subtitled better than I would do them, so I'm going to link them in the thread, but yeah, just look up CL's Memory if you want to see those. And yeah, as a note, there are 2 more that come after this, but they're actually kind of just the end of the game. It's pretty much just scenes around the final boss, which makes sense. This game is definitely a little story light. I think what's here is intriguing, but in terms of things to act without just making an entire series over this game, which again wouldn't have that much, yeah, I think they kind of clued in on the most important ones, which is the beginning, the ending, and this group of characters. But yeah, that was a super short episode. We met Hypera today, and that was very important. Otherwise, I guess now that I've talked about the soundtrack, it's the end of the video, so we'll just let one of those songs play us out, and I'll see you next time.